Alright guys, so the last time we left off, we were going to animate this Minotaur. And I had a little bit of an accident with recording, so we will be doing this again, but a little bit differently. We need to actually export this model out, and I didn't show that in the last video. So down here in the export section, you just click wherever you want it to export to, and just export your model here. And if you haven't saved your transforms or any of your scales in this tab, so if your scale isn't 1 or your rotation and location isn't zeroed out, my tool won't let you export it, and it'll actually let you know what you need to zero out. Also, before we export it, I want to change the name of it, and I also noticed a couple more errors while I was messing with this. Since this is new to 4.3, I'll actually go down to the object renaming with this. So this is actually supposed to work like this, but it's making my lettering capitalized. I'm just going to use it anyways for now. No, not. That looks ugly. I'll fix that. But, so I want to rename it before I export it. Oh, right. Need to zero that out first. So I put it here. You can press it right here, but you can also just press Control A, which if you're already used to Blender, you can do that. So now that that's applied, now we can export. So we exported the model, and we want to export our textures out also. And you'll notice that there's an export model here. You won't be able to export your model unless you've selected an export folder here, because generally when you're doing stuff, you'll move to that tab and then end on this tab, and then you'll just need them both here. So just helps to have it over here also. So we need to export our textures to the desktop as well. Bam. This converts PNG or non-DDS files to DDS. So if you're already using DDS, you don't need to use this export textures. Okay, so now that we have that, move back over here. So as you see, I had already went ahead and did this while I was recording, but that did not get recorded. So we're going to import our new Minotaur. Yeah, I forgot to put cloth on it. And what's going on here? Must have accidentally exported it to somewhere else or something. Who knows? So anyways, we're back, and we are going to rotate this real quick. Just 80, bring it up, and save the transforms, because if I don't save or change the transforms, they're going to scale and rotate from that point. So we're going to scale that up a little bit. And now, before we go on here, I kind of want to talk about these real quick and the different ways to rig a creature or character or whatever. There is a weight transfer. You can modify an existing armature, and you can use an AutoRigging, which you can find many of them. This one I just used Mixamo with, and basically it just gives you a skeleton so you don't have to do any of the weight painting for your character. Sometimes it can do a good job, sometimes it does not do so well, but anything is better than nothing, and you can always add your own weight paint to the existing weight paint that's already there. So that one's pretty easy. Weight transfer. This is where we use an existing skeleton of a monster. In this case, I used the null. This is a good way to do it because then you don't have to add your own coals, which are colliders. And let me hide these real quick so we can see what's going on. So we can weight paint it, so we don't really have to add anything. The only drawback for something like this is if your model doesn't line up exactly to some of these points. For example, the mouth or these eyes, then you would need to use an alternate skeleton, like a head skeleton, in place of a body. So regular skeletons do not have any numeric values, but if we wanted to change this to a head skeleton, we would name it like this, like this would be for a head skeleton 01, and then we would change this from body to head. So, and when we do that, then we're able to modify these existing bones that are for like AP or facial bones, and that helps. So, and then we still get all of the benefits of using equipments. So attachments. The attachments are attached by these naming conventions. So if your armature doesn't have that, then it's less likely that you'll be able to equip anything properly. So that's another way to do it. You can also, when you use AutoRigging, I'm pretty sure this thing is has an animation or something. I need to see what's going on because that's kind of annoying. Let's get rid of that. So anyways, where was I? So AutoRigging, they don't have the same names for our game, but we can update them and use them in the same way. So that's why AutoRigging can be useful. But the best reason why I would choose AutoRigging, especially for something like this, is we don't plan on using more. We're not planning on adding anything to this. We're not adding armors or new heads. The only thing that this is probably going to get is a weapon in its hand. So we would just transfer the weapon bones to these hands, and then we would have our model. That's pretty easy. The last one I want to go over is a modified existing skeleton. So this is a one I did, and so I added a few of my own bones. I haven't fully weight painted it yet, but that's pretty easy to fix. And the benefit to this is that you actually control most, if not all, of the armature and how it functions. I added a few more bones in the hands. I kept the tail and shortened that up a bit. I did not spend a whole lot of time. This is just an example, but this benefits from having the bone names still. So I used the null skeleton to make this skeleton. I didn't make this from scratch, and that made it a little bit easier. So how do we do that? This one's going to be a little bit of a long one, so good luck. First, what we want to do is hide these coals because we don't need them. For the first one, I think we'll do the weight transfer. And for a weight transfer, we need to have our skeleton in a similar position as our model, because bringing this model into this position will be harder than bringing our existing armature into a posed position, because we already have our armature here. So let's move this, and we're not going to worry about the pose, because we have retargeting that we can use to repose it back where we need it to be. And right now we're just going to aim to get it into this T pose that this Minotaur is in right now. Make sure the Minotaur is of proper scaling. You can probably go up a little bit. And we can also modify our model. So we don't need our mesh for our null at the moment. Right now we want to click on a couple of these, probably the whole hand actually. I'm going to click this X-ray, select all these vertices, G, X. I also have proportional editing on, so GX, and you see how it pulls. Jude spoke about this a few times, so we're just going to actually use the arm because they're kind of buff anyways. They could use a little bit of space, so I'm just going to drag it out a little bit, and then GZ to drag it down. Now onto the other hand, and I will G to X, drag it out, not changing the size of my cursor. I'm just going to keep it the same size, and down. So you'll see down here, these legs are looking kind of funky. I did not move them the way I moved these hands. It looks like my hands may need to come down a little bit. So G and O. I'm trying to rotate it a little bit. Let's go to solid mode so I can see a little bit better. G, Z. Having a little difficulty here. G, Z. That looks pretty good. So now we have our model here. Let's bring the skeleton up a little bit for the hand. This one looks pretty good already. And a lot of time these skeletons are not they're not very good. But when you want to quickly reuse a model, is pretty fast. So right here, and the whole time our model is still attached to this armature. So we have our base. Now we need to apply the scale to our model. Then we need to get our reference model. We have a couple loads. We have a head. So we're just going to remove these loads. We don't need those for this. We're going to take our head here. We're going to take our body, and we're going to join them together because it has all the information we need for our skeleton. And we can come down here. We can actually delete some of this stuff here. We can delete the jaw, pretty much all the face bones, because we're not going to use them. Yeah, we're going to keep the tail. And so we have our null selected, but we need our Minotaur parented to this armature. But before we can do that, we need to unparent our null, keep transforms, apply transforms, and apply the armature. Now we click on our skeleton. We need to save this updated pose by applying it. Control A will get that menu. Now that we have our pose applied, we can apply our null back onto our armature and our Minotaur onto our armature. And then we click our body, we click our null, or we click our null, we click our Minotaur, head over to these tools here, model preparation, and transfer vertex. One more thing I want to do. I found out when I was importing my MDBs earlier, they actually needed to have this merge by distance. I don't know where that came from, but if you don't do that, the weight transfer is not going to be very good because it starts getting cut off and some of the points between your mesh gets, the information isn't there. So now we'll hit this transfer weights. And the reason I put it here is because it is an operation you can just go into weights here, hit this, hit transfer weights, and then change this to by name, then nearest face interpolated, and then you can modify this a little bit, but that you have to do every time you want to open Blender. So rather than doing all that, we just have this button here, which we actually don't need to even switch into weight paint mode to use. The only thing you need to do is select your model that has the weights and the model that doesn't have the weights, and then just hit that button there. So now they'll both move together. Excuse me. So now that is the first way for getting the weights onto your model. Second, we need to actually return our model, our skeleton, back to its original state. So I'm going to import. Actually, I already have some existing armature. So I'm just going to duplicate it real quick and just drag it down to the Minotaur. So, and then we'll hide that. So this is the original. We want our original in a collection that is above the one we want to, this one. So this one has the pose that we updated. We need this collection in a collection above it. And that way, when we go to this retargeting tab here, this one, and we are going to link these two skeletons. But in order to do that, this armature, which is the source armature, needs to be in the collection above the target armature. So it doesn't matter which order you click them in, it matters where that collection is. And then you just press connect these armatures. The two armatures need to be identical other than their root bone name. So we're just going to connect these two like this. So as you can see, there's some issue here, but that's okay. We're just going to go ahead and go into this armature, which holds the Minotaur currently. Hit that in front. We're going to remove these legs, or select these legs here, all this, and we're going to go to pose, constraints, and clear the constraints. That way we keep our legs out, but we get our arms up here like we need them to. And now it's actually exactly what we need. Let's unparent this, clear parent, and keep transforms. apply that. Now we take our model and apply it to the first armature. Because it already has the weights calculated earlier with this armature, it now understands that this leg controls so much of that leg. And so that would be, I guess, the quickest way to use an existing armature for something that's pretty low or pretty low quality, like this armature. When you get into like multiple skeletons, that's when you'll need something like these constraints, because transferring armor or animations for multiple armatures can get kind of taxing if you don't. So let's move on to the next way to modifying an existing skeleton. Let's do that. We'll import our Minotaur again. 180. Cheesy. I'm just going to do the first few things that I did previously, and then now we're just going to save it in front. And there we go. So I always start off with posing first when doing this, mainly because these bones already control these AP bones, and I do not want to have to go to edit mode and rotate them in this fashion if I don't have to. So I do that and do this first initial part in pose mode. And I don't actually need any models, so what I do need though, I want to save the rest pose here before I go into this chain and actually clean it up, because some of these bones are not connected, they're just parented in an offset manner. And it's fine, but sometimes it gets kind of annoying to deal with. Here's the snapping tool. It can be kind of useful when you're trying to connect some bones. And if I were to try to connect these two bones like I did earlier, my whole hand would move. And so I really don't want to fight the position. Whatever bone I snap it to, it will go to that with that on. I suggest to turn that back off once you're done using it though, because it's also annoying. Connect that. And I'm just making sure these bones are connected so that way the weights in my armature get sorted a little bit better, transferred in between these bones because they know that they're connected. I'm not going to do any face bones because well, it does not have good topology for that. And I'm just going to make a little collection over here for my AP bones. those. These bones are face bones. You can see F, it's a face bone. These will have to be I'm just going to delete them. I think I have another mouth bone here. Here it is. Delete all this. And I'll explain these bones a little bit. Not just yet. Just want to get a little bit further first. And them in a collection so that way we don't have to fight with all these other bones. Okay. And there we go. Now we're a little bit, now we're where we want to be. So my hands are a little bit short here, I see. Gonna bring it out some. While I still have that proportional editing on. X. Okay, so now let's do the legs and these bodies, and we'll bring the arms back. So the body needs to be moved up here so we can get in the middle of the model. We don't want it too far forward, because if it's too far forward, then the back of the model doesn't get any weight. If it's too far back, the front of the model doesn't get any weight. And that means our model isn't going to be moving properly. Next, let's move these. Oh, I have local on. Let's switch that to global real quick. And I'm gonna actually scale these up so they're a little bit bigger. Cover more of that leg here. And this annoying thing is on still. And turn it off. Yeah, that thing's annoying. Always remember to turn it off. Each of these bones, only one bone is going to control so much of the mesh. So when you think of your model moving, think of how many bones it's going to take for that model to move in the way that you want it to move. Weight painting, oof, you're going to have to watch some videos, but I can probably link some videos in the description. And you can also always watch Jude's videos. He's super good at weight painting, texturing. Even this, he does a lot of this sort of stuff. So I would definitely suggest watching his videos after you watch mine. Let's see here. So I didn't actually want this like this. So I'm gonna save this pose real quick and go into edit mode and fix this little issue. Turn that button back on. Then hit this button. Okay, and connect these. And I'm actually gonna point them downwards. Like that. They look a little rough. Bring it out a little bit more. Oh, Jesus Christ. The button is on again. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Bring that out. Bring that out. And now the upper part. Bring that here. And let's bring that back. This forward. It's kind of a weird thing to have to do this, because you don't really know what you're aiming for till you actually get that weight on there. But it's not impossible. We are nearly done. Let's bring those back up. So those are way too far back. Yeah, that's better. Now let's bring these arms back, because we want it to control most of this bend here in this elbow. Bring this forward. Bring this back. And if you start building your own armatures, you'll definitely want to have these bends in your arms, because it helps with more advanced rigging, which if you start rigging, you'll probably end up doing eventually anyways. So it's just a good habit to get into. Move that thumb there. And this thumb here. I'm gonna rotate this one because that one seemed a little sus. Bring it down. And let's actually bring this up. So we'll have to bring this back down again. Move it. That looks okay. So let's do our test weights for now. I'm gonna apply this model onto this Armature in a minute after we save the scale and transforms. We're going to apply this rest pose. Then we are going to add this armature to the armature. Shift select the model, weights, automatic weights, and it says something failed. That's because we have this bone selected when we do not actually need it selected. So let's not select this bone, and those bones don't matter, but let's not select those either. We don't need any of those two. Now out, in, weights, and another bone heat fail, huh? So that means one of our bones, what the hell's going on here? Our model's not reading part of the mesh. That's what that means. So one of these bones is acting up. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that in a minute. Now, I think it's this bone here could be causing the problem. So instead, let's move it out here. Move this. Connect these. Then move this bone up and forward. Yeah, I didn't really actually adjust this neck piece like I should have. I do also want a little bit more back here. Yes, that much. And it almost seems like my model is still acting up some. Where is it? Yes. That bone heating thing I was talking about earlier. Let's try it again. We don't need that package bone. We don't need these two. Weights. Weight paint. Okay, so now we have our weighted monster. And it doesn't look too bad. It still moves around. And we have number 2. So that's how you would create your own armature. You could actually do a little bit more by taking these bones here. Let's go into pose mode actually. Hide these and create a new bone. This one, hide these here. Hide these bones, unhide these bones, and take ears. Boom. And put them up because they're all sideways. So let's rotate that a little bit. Let's rotate this and these two. But I already did that one, so let's do these two separately. These are eye bones. So these are where you would get your glows and all that eye VFX that you got going on. That's where that would go. So we would want that near our eyeballs. This is a forehead. Also attachments, VFX can be attached there. I don't need to get this perfect, but just show you where these things actually go. These don't have any weights. If you accidentally add weights to these, you'll get an error when you export your MDB. So no weights on any bone called AP. And yes, you can create your own AP bones. There are uses for creating your own AP bones because they can be used as rigging bones. So because they don't have any weights, you can add extra animations through the AP bones if you wish to do that. Let's see here. I'm not super duper worried about all this. So the rest of these bones. Halo, also an attachment point for halos and whatever else you want to put there. This is for equipment, also equipment, your shield, and your 2 weapons. Let's bring that down. And inside the palm slightly. Down, inside the palm slightly. These 2 are your knees for your knee pads, and these are ankle. Camera needs to be put back up where it needs to be. And that is all of them. Alright, so now we have our monster. I do want to add a couple more bones, but I'm not going to. That's number 2, later rig, and number 3 would just be going to Mixamo here, click in this upload character, select your character file. I use OBJ because it seems to calculate in Mixamo the best. So you want your character to face you. Hit over here, put that on its chin. Left wrist, right wrist. So make sure you're selecting the right one. Knee bone. Oh, that wasn't even knee. I wasn't even reading. That was an elbow. Knee. And then groin. We're just going to leave it at 65, but you can also change this however you want. No fingers. That's good for Neverwinter Nights. Especially if 2 fingers is good. 3 fingers is also good. We want to keep 54 bones or less. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that. And we just wait for the AutoRigger. I'm not going to do the retargeting in this video because It's already been quite long, and you probably have other stuff you want to do. As you can see, some of the weight paint here does not do as well if you do not target it correctly. So I'm going to go back and go back again. Turn this bad boy around. Chin. Put that chin down a little bit more. Left wrist. Right elbow. Put these wrists out a little bit more. Right knee. And the groin. Yeah, so I'll do the rigging video after this video. And then in the rigging video, I'll show you what they look like in game. So let's see how this looks. Oh, and we'll talk about the retargeting system over there. So thank you for watching, and yeah, always remember we can always fix these weights in Blender ourselves. While it can be quite annoying at times to deal with. Oh, whoa, that's not what we want. Sometimes you just gotta do it. Gotta do it. So, and yeah, so if your model comes in like that and you're using mixed mode, just go ahead and rescale it up to 1. Let's see here. We have our model. And let's go to weights. Select this head bone here. For weights, it's 1 to 0, 0 being blue, and 1 being red. So the more weight that your bone has, your specific bone. So right now I have the neck bone selected. The neck bone's going to control a lot of that, which we do not want. We do not want that to happen. So we delete all that neck stuff. What we do want to have that is our head bone. So we would add all that. That way our head bone is actually controlling the head of this model here rather than our neck. Yep, so I think these control changes are killing me, bro. What's going on? Oh yeah, I forgot. I was selected on a different bone because I don't have them in front. Anyways, so now like that we won't have all that facial issues that we were having earlier. Quick fix. Probably turn that all red actually. I don't like how those ears are acting up like that. That's why I made my own ears. Followed the head bone. And yeah, I'll just call that good for now. Then we'll just move on to retargeting and exporting into Neverwinter Nights.